Guys, please. Hey guys, CryptoDad here again. Thanks for joining me on the live Q&A in LA every Friday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thanks for being here. Let's get going. All right, so welcome everyone. Let's pop out the chat and see what's happening. No one's joined yet. Haha!
You're a noob.
I'm a noob. All right. So let's jump in. Khalid, thank you for joining me. Mr. David, Al-Amonim. Good evening, everyone. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing over there. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. This one. So here I am. All right, so let's see the news, live topics. Where are we here? Here we go. Just the main story for today. Bitcoin holds at 5,100 as U.S. stocks stand still. Although I think the stocks went up today. You know, it's funny. I look at these stories a lot, and you know, you can look at the stories that come out every day, and they're not always up to date. You know, really, the only way to get completely up to date is to check price charts. So there's our Bitcoin coin market cap reading. How accurate that is, I don't know, but it's up to the minute, pretty much. And then I always like to check out the Dow, see how that one's doing. Was up today. It was down yesterday, I believe. All right, so that's where we are. Bitcoin is kind of, it took a dip over the last few days. It was flirting with 57, if I'm not mistaken. And I only talk about Bitcoin insofar as it kind of drives the rest of the crypto market. So let's look at the 7-day chart. So here we were, that's not the 7 days. Is that the 7-day chart? Doesn't seem to make sense. Oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, 10 April. All right, so here we were. Seemed like it was higher than that. Anyway, 54.21, at least on this chart. I thought it had gotten even higher, but maybe I was mistaken. So you guys remember in early April, if we look at the 30-day, where are we here? There's no 30-day? Let's look at, okay, 1 month. That's 30 days, isn't it? All right, so we had our big jump around April 1st, April 2nd, from where Bitcoin had been languishing around 441. So here we are, April 12th. That's not that long ago. And we were up as high as 52? No, here we are. 53.30, 54.14. And then we had the last few days, we had this dip all the way down to, well, I think it actually went below 5,000 at some point. I can't make it stick. But it dropped a little bit below, and now most of the day we've kind of been hovering up and down the 5,000, 5,100 range. So that's where Bitcoin is. And the rest of the market kind of follows suit. Although there are some exceptions. I like to see more exceptions, but that's kind of where we're at the moment. Hello, everyone. Alan, John, Johan, Ivanson, Galloway, Betty. Hello, Betty. Mr. David, hello, everyone. Celtic fan, Grand Illusion. Nice to see you here again. So I don't know, maybe I talk about the news way too much. I don't know. But I read this one article that I thought was really interesting last week. And here it was. The media's, if it'll come up. Maybe it's not a fresh article. Maybe the link's gone. Here it is. the media's cringeworthy coverage of Bitcoin's latest price surge. Now, this article was written last week on April 6th. And basically, he's talking about the early April surge of Bitcoin. And, how the media, the mainstream media covered it. And they weren't very good at it. There's a lot of Bitcoin bashers in the mainstream media, as I've talked about, factually incorrect assumptions about Bitcoin and whatnot. But I thought that this was a pretty good article. I'm kind of want to check this guy. I don't know if there's any way to get alerted, but you can click on him and look at all his articles. If I can do that, I thought I could. Anyway, he does a pretty good job of analyzing the Bitcoin markets, and there was a lot of adoption. There was a lot of pent-up good news that hadn't moved the market because of the bear market. There were a lot of technical indicators that were pointing to an upswing. So it wasn't just kind of this out-of-the-blue thing. It sort of occurred out of the blue on the surface of it, but there were indicators leading up to it. And I thought that this guy did a really good job of... I won't go into the entire article, but he did a great job of putting down what some of the other people were saying and bringing kind of reality into it. So I like that. I would like to interview this guy at some point, if I could pull that off. Still working on that. So that was a few days back. This was good news. The U.S. lawmakers have reintroduced a cryptocurrency-related bill to clarify what cryptocurrency is, how it should be classified, how it should be regulated. It's kind of a double-edged sword. The cryptocurrency community is sort of an anti-establishment type community at its core, decentralized rather than centralized. But, those of people that believe in Bitcoin, that have invested in Bitcoin, would welcome regulation and recognition of Bitcoin by the government. And it should help adoption. So this law was introduced last year and never made it to a vote, and now it's been reintroduced to sort of clarify how cryptocurrencies should be taxed, that sort of thing. So it's a good sign. I look at it as a good sign. Some people might not see it as a good sign. I see it as a good sign. And let's see. We're going to talk a little bit about doing our cryptocurrency taxes. I should bring this up. You should all be familiar with Julian Assange, who was the publisher of WikiLeaks. Although there are more people involved in the WikiLeaks website. He is pretty much the face, and the person sort of puts himself out there to be held account for the documents that they leak online. And he's been held up in the Ecuadorian embassy in London for almost 7 years, or a little over 7 years, and was recently arrested. Why I bring this up is that the interesting thing about the story is that people are donating Bitcoin to Julian Assange for his legal defense. And curiously enough, or not curiously enough, Julian Assange was one of the early adopters of Bitcoin. He accepted Bitcoin and in Bitcoin donations to his website WikiLeaks. And he did this way back in 2010. And part of it was that, it's a decentralized currency. And another part of it was that he was being blackballed by some of the big financial players. He got, I don't know what the word for it is, disengaged or thrown out. The PayPal refused to process his donations. And he had quite a bit of donations flowing in to his website. So he started adopting Bitcoin early on to sort of get around the fact that PayPal and Visa and MasterCard were cutting off his sources of income. And then also Tulsi Gabbard made a statement that the arrest of Julian Assange is meant to send a message to all Americans and journalists: be quiet, behave, toe the line, or you will pay the price. Now, Tulsi Gabbard is also another interesting figure. She is known to own cryptocurrency. She's running for president. She's a Democrat. But there's public blockchain, and apparently she claimed to own some cryptocurrency on one of her tax returns. So she's kind of a believer in cryptocurrency, and she's supporting Julian Assange. And I won't go too far into that rabbit hole because there's a lot of people that are pro and con Julian Assange. I didn't really want to get into that so much as just talk about how Bitcoin related to this event. Let's see. Live topics. We got the crypto tax, we got that. I got an email. I emailed myself, and I thought this article was fun. I probably reveal way too much personal information because I can't really blur anything out on my... I thought I emailed... here it is. When I'm in my live stream, I can't really blur things out, so you guys see my email address and, that kind of stuff. If Bitcoin was just a bubble all along, it couldn't have popped twice, right? So if you're comparing something to a bubble, and you pop a bubble, it's gone forever, right? So if Bitcoin were some kind of Ponzi scheme or some kind of scam that popped and all the investors lost their money, usually in those situations, like the Bernie Madoff thing, these Ponzi schemes, once they collapse, they're gone, right? Well, Bitcoin has collapsed several times and come back. The Mt. Gox hack was a big blow to Bitcoin and its adoption, its use, and its price. And it got over that, and in 2017 made it all the way up to 20,000. A lot of people talk about the fall from its high, but if we look at Bitcoin at the beginning of 2017, it was around $1,000, and now it's around $5,000, which is an overall increase from 2017. So I just like that little bubbles don't pop twice, right? So we're going to have to stop comparing Bitcoin to a bubble, especially now that it seems to be making a comeback. The Mt. Gox thing, not too many people really even knew what Bitcoin was back then. But when Bitcoin crashed heavy in 2018, in January and on, all the way into November, people were writing the epitaph for Bitcoin, and it rose and fell in a big way. A lot of people were aware of it, not just cryptocurrency heads like me, and now it's making a comeback. So this should be, quite a proving ground in my mind. All right, guys. So I've got a few things to talk about that are related to cryptocurrency, and some questions that some people put in. Good questions in my comments section. So we've talked about ADA on the Ledger Nano S. And so when we, let me go into Ledger Live first, we'll start there. When we install an app on the Ledger Nano S, the Ledger Nano S generates a private key for that particular cryptocurrency. Now, a private key, actually it generates a key pair. It generates a private key and a public key. Now, the private key and public key of let's just talk about Bitcoin at the moment. We can talk about Cardano too, but the private public, the private and the public key are related, but they're related in a way that is so mathematically difficult to break down that it's next to impossible using today's technology. Who knows, with quantum computing 10 or 20 years from now, the current algorithms might be breakable. But as it stands, the public key is a huge prime number, and the private key is also they're two huge prime numbers, and there's a way of factoring the public key to get the private key, but it's impossible to do with the largest supercomputers. I digress too far. But when the Ledger Nano S generates a key pair, it basically it's generating an address on a blockchain, and we're talking about Cardano here. Now that, but the most important thing is the private key. That's where the control lies. Now, and I've also mentioned that if you don't have room for an app on your ledger, you can safely delete an app and then re-add it later. And the wallet does not get lost, because when you tell the Ledger Nano to generate a key, it uses an algorithm based on its master private key. Now that master private key will always generate the exact same key every single time, right? If there's no key at all, I just can't seem to, I can't talk and enter my PIN at the same time. If you put the ADA app on the Ledger Nano S and there's no, it's been deleted, and then you add it again, it's always gonna regenerate that exact same first account, right? Now, if you generated more than one ADA account, it'll generate all three of those accounts exactly as it did the first time. It's called deterministic, all right? So even though it is possible to delete the key completely by removing the app, and then it gets re-added automatically, and then the same key. Now, when it generates that same key, that key will look on the ADA blockchain for that address, right? And if you had put some cryptocurrency in that ADA address, it will find it, and it will show you your balance, and then you will be able to withdraw it using your private key. Now, and I'm going to allow Ledger Manager here, because I'm going to add the ADA app, right? So, because we're going to do a little bit of ADA stuff right now. So I'm going to delete Ethereum. Unfortunately, right now, you cannot put Bitcoin, Ethereum, and ADA on here at the same time. We're all waiting for the Ledger Nano X. I've got one pre-ordered. It was delayed in March. Hopefully this month, I'll be getting that Ledger Nano X that holds 100 apps, so they say. All right, now I have a Ledger Nano S that I haven't reset the entire Ledger Nano S. It's still the same master private key, which is represented by that 24-word recovery phrase that I have written down and stored safely somewhere. So if I were to lose this ledger, I could just buy another one and restore using that 24-word recovery phrase and get the same master private key back on my new ledger. And then using that master private key, I could install the ADA app. Here I go. I'm installing the ADA app. Now what it's doing right now is it's checking the master private key of this ledger, and it's using that master private key to generate a brand new Cardano address. But it's deterministic. The master private key will always generate the exact same Cardano address it generated the last time I asked it. All right? And I think I used the wrong ledger too. I don't think there's any there's no I always put the wrong ledger on here. All right guys, let's do one more time. I'm gonna put the pin in for this one. This is the one that has the 8 on it. My brain is kind of fuzzy. All right. So, but that's a good lesson in master private key. Oh, and I saw this happen not too long ago. Don't panic. I just hit retry, right, and it works. All right. So let's take Ethereum off. I was experimenting with Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I'm going to get to a point here in a minute. All this talk about private keys. Let's put the ADA on there. All right, so we're on a ledger with no ADA app, and we're going to add ADA, and it's going to generate that ADA private public key pair. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go over to a website in order to access that data, right? All right, so now we've done that. So we're going to go to the ADA Lite. Whoops. We're going to go to the ADA Lite website. Okay, here we are on the ADA Lite website, which is obviously a website, right? And I'm going to choose, I'm going to choose hardware wallet. I'm going to choose unlock with Ledger. Now, basically what this means is that it's going to access the wallet that I have stored on this ledger. It's just a key pair. All right. Oh, I need to be in the ADA app first. So I'm going to go over here to the ADA. Oh, stellar. Okay. All right, there's Cardano, ADA. I'm going to hit both keys. All right, now it's waiting. Now it wants me to export the public key. So the public key, and then I'm going to confirm. The public key is the outward facing part of the wallet, right? The public key is the address that people can use to send ADA to me, right? But if I want to spend this ADA, then the transaction needs to be signed by the private key, which lives on this ledger. Now, the question that was asked to me by one of my users in the comments section of my video was, what if the ADA Lite site goes down forever, right? Pretty interesting question when you think about it. But the fundamental flaw with that argument, and it's not that I'm saying they're flawed or it was a dumb question. It's not. It was a good question, actually. But the misconception here is that somehow the ADA is on this website. It's not. The ADA is not on this website. The ADA is not even on the ledger. The ADA is on the Cardano blockchain, the ADA blockchain, which is a distributed ledger which lives in various locations around the world on computers, right? There are various ADA nodes all over the world, and this website is, all it's doing is reading data from the ADA blockchain. It's just an interface, right? So the ADA is not stored on this website. So if the ADA Lite website goes down forever, then I'll still have my private public key pair on my ledger, right? Now, the easiest thing that we can say is, okay, so if ADA Lite is gone, what do I do? Well, are there any other ways of reading the ADA off this ledger? There are. There's the, and I always mispronounce it, I want to call it Yoroi, or whatever it is. I can use this interface, which is a completely different web browser extension, to read the exact same balance off the exact same ledger. It's just reading, it's reading the exact same information. It's just a different interface. So if ADA Lite goes down forever, the ADA is still fine. All right, so what if they both go down? What if both of them are no longer available for me? Well, my hope would be that there will be another way, another website will pick up the slack where these left off. And also, there are algorithms for extracting the wallets off of a ledger backup phrase, right? So I've done it with other cryptocurrencies. Tron, for example. you can do a restore Tron wallet and put in your Ledger Nano S 24-word recovery phrase. If you had a Tron wallet that was generated by that, it will show up in some Tron wallets. You can restore it. So the idea would be, if both of these websites are gone forever, there may be another way to extract the data in order to get access to your coins again. Now, my hope, and I don't know if Charles Hodgkinson's is watching this, but my hope would be that the Cardano Dedalus wallet will support the Ledger Nano S. And that's not so far-fetched, because the Monero wallet supports Ledger. So if you have you can create a wallet using the Monero desktop wallet, and that stores its private key on the Ledger Nano S. There are quite a few wallets similar to that. The Ethereum app, if you install the Ethereum app on a Ledger Nano S, it will create an Ethereum key pair, and you can access that with Ledger Live, but you can also access it with MyEtherWallet. So they're all just different interfaces to the same thing. So the question is, what if the website goes down forever? Will I lose my ADA? The answer is no. You have the private key stored on your ledger. And what if the ledger gets wet or run over? You accidentally run over it with your car? Well, you've got your backup phrase. All right. So you just buy another ledger and use your backup phrase to restore it, and then you regenerate the wallet by adding the ADA app, and you're back in business, right? Now, if you lose your backup phrase and you lose your ledger, then you're out of luck. So always make sure to keep your backup phrase. Thank you, Betty. Yeah. All of cryptocurrencies don't really, you never put Bitcoin in a wallet. You store a public-private key pair in the wallet, which gives you access to a blockchain address. Okay, so Plan X uses ADA Lite. Will they make one with a larger storage capacity? Plan X asks about the Ledger. Now, the Ledger Nano X, I'm assuming, holds more apps, right? Let's go to ledger.com. The new Ledger, now I really don't know how many apps the Ledger Blue supports, but the Ledger Nano X is supposedly, not only, it holds hundreds of apps, it's Bluetooth enabled, you can carry it around with you, it'll interface with your phone, so it's kind of a big step forward in Ledger technology. Unfortunately, it was delayed last month, so I didn't get a chance to demo it yet. Also, the screen is bigger. I had another commenter mention to me that he was really upset about that address when you go to verify a Bitcoin or a Litecoin or whatever type address on the ledger, that it's scrolling back and forth. Well, the reason it's scrolling back and forth is because the screen is so small. It doesn't have enough room to display the entire address. So I'm assuming that the Ledger Nano X, having a larger screen, should be able to display an entire address without any scrolling activity. So a big step. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to show you guys comments directly. I think that would kind of be invading. I don't know. Their comments are public anyway. I guess if you post a comment on my YouTube channel, then you're pretty much fair game, right? Let's see if I can find it here. I'm gonna... Let's go here. I really like this comment, though. I get a lot of spam, too, so... You'd be surprised at some of the spam that comes on my website. This is a very common, the successful hack of 12 BTC in my wallet. I'm so happy and excited. His script and tutorials. Text him on WhatsApp and have a testimony. There's a lot of these get put on my. They're basically advertising hackers. They got to be scams. So I can just hit report abuse. I got to find this guy's comment. I don't know if I can at the moment. Maybe it's down. There's that same guy. I can't find that comment. All right, I'm just gonna have. Here it is. Here it is. Okay. No, it's not the one. Okay. All right. So the guy says, "Sir." He says, "Sir, using the public, if I put Bitcoin in a wallet using the public Bitcoin address, can the police find the owner of the wallet?" And you know what my answer was? Yes, they can. Oh. They can. The Bitcoin blockchain is public, right? Now, I'm just a I mean, I know something about computers, but if you give me a Bitcoin public address, I'm not going to be able to trace it back to its IP address. But there are people that can. There are a lot of companies, and there is a company, I can't remember, there's a very big company, company tracing blockchain. Here it is, Chainalysis, all right? Chainalysis is a really big company, and it's gaining a lot of momentum now because they're analyzing blockchain data from a lot of things, right? But the Bitcoin blockchain is one of them. And a lot of big companies, agencies, maybe the IRS, maybe the NSA, who knows? Maybe those agencies have their own people that can do this. But a lot of big companies and agencies are employing Chainalysis to analyze blockchain in order to track down illegal activities, money laundering, tax evasion, that sort of thing on the blockchain. And as it turns out, the Bitcoin blockchain is even better for finding and rooting out fraud. There are so many cases against big banks that have been caught laundering money, either intentionally, unintentionally, by their employees, however, whatever the case may be. And as it turns out, people that the Bitcoin blockchain network is a much easier, transparent way to analyze financial transactions than banks. Banks are notorious for being able to wash money, cash, whatever. So people always bash Bitcoin. They say it's used by criminals, it's used to hide money, and all blah blah blah. But as it matures, people are starting to realize finally that it's a better way of chasing or analyzing transactions. So the question of my commenter about, if I have a public Bitcoin address, can the police find the wallet owner? The answer is yes. Right? They could. Right? So that brings me to pseudonymous. That's a good way of explaining it. Thanks for joining us, Jizzy Mac and 300 Rivers, Robert Cole. I'm going to talk about taxes because it's almost tax time. So it's in the title of the video, I think. Right? Crypto tax time. So I'm going to talk a little bit about filing crypto taxes. Now, there's a couple of problems with filing your taxes with crypto. And one of them is that there aren't a lot of tax accountants out there that really understand cryptocurrencies. So there's that. You're going to need... there's the Dedalus wallet. So we're hoping at some point we can do add wallet, create, and then it'll say use Ledger to create new wallet, right? Or access wallet with Ledger. That would be ideal for Dedalus to add that functionality. So maybe someday I can ask Charles Hodgkinsons to come on the channel, and I'll ask him, when are you going to add Ledger support to the Dedalus wallet? All right. So we're having trouble. We're going to have a little trouble finding a tax accountant that thoroughly understands cryptocurrency. Number two, the rules that the IRS has for taxing cryptocurrency holdings and trading and buying and selling and all that kind of stuff and transfers is not clear cut, right? So we have those two problems. But there are some solutions out there for those of us. Now, let me just state, and I don't, this is not unequivocal or anything, but in general, if all you're doing is buying cryptocurrency and you're not really selling it, then you're in pretty good shape tax-wise, right? You don't have a lot to worry about tax-wise. Now, you may have made a few mistakes or whatever. I didn't claim this or that, but as long as you're just holding, you're not in any real jeopardy, so to speak, as much as you would be if you're like a day trader or a constant trader. So if you're constantly trading cryptocurrency, then you probably want to look into getting your taxes done right. Now, also, I'll mention that April 15th is not a hard and fast date, right? If you miss your tax deadline, you'll probably have to pay a fine if you owed them money. But if you're expecting a return, you can wait years, and I don't want to encourage that, but I don't want everyone to feel like, oh my God, I got to run out and do all my crypto, calculations right now before the 15th. I'm just talking about this because we're close to tax time, right? So you can always file for an extension if you need an extension, and you can always file for 2017 if you haven't done that, or further back or whatever. So let's talk a little bit about some of the tax services that are available for cryptocurrency owners, and I believe Coin Tracker is one of the big ones. Now, I'm planning on using them at some point. I've never used them before, but they do seem to be one of the larger companies. Now, I believe that Coin Tracker has some integration with TurboTax, which is the Intuit home tax preparation software. I'm not too familiar with that either, because I don't use Quicken. If you use Quicken, then TurboTax is a no-brainer. But if you've been using cryptocurrency and you don't know really what to do or how to enter it, then a software like CoinTracker is a good solution. So if you'll notice here, if we go to pricing, well, first of all, it's simple. So it's going to connect to your exchanges. So let's look at my case. My case might be more complicated than yours. I'm not a day trader, so I don't have a lot of trading, taxable events to worry about. But I do swap cryptocurrency. Now, this new law that these legislators have introduced, one of the things they want to add to, in this new crypto law is that people shouldn't be taxed when they're making crypto-to-crypto transfers. But as it stands right now, as far as I know, a crypto-to-crypto transfer is a taxable event. So if I buy Litecoin on Coinbase, and then I transfer it to Bittrex, and then I use that Litecoin to buy Cardano, even though I've done an even swap, Cardano for Litecoin for Cardano, I've still created a taxable event. Now, usually when I do it, it's right away. So the price of the Litecoin has not fluctuated considerably between the time I bought it and the time I traded it. But nevertheless, it is considered a taxable event. So anyway, you've got if you only use Coinbase and you store your crypto in Coinbase, you've got a pretty simple case, right? But let's say you've got, like me, you've got, you use Coinbase to buy, and then you use Bittrex and Binance to trade, right? So you purchase coins on Coinbase using your debit card or your bank account, and then you fund your cryptocurrency accounts like Binance and Bittrex. And then if you're also like me, once you're done with your trading and swapping, you move everything into your own wallet. So this software can also take into account your wallets too. So you would provide your public address, not your private address. They're not going to be able to see or control. They'll be able to see it because it's public, but they won't be able to access any of your funds or move any of your funds, right? You're just giving them the public address. But as you can see here, so they've got Binance, they've got GDAX, and then I'm assuming maybe you have your own wallet somewhere. I'm not sure. I thought that this one did. But so my hope, maybe it's only exchange wallets. I don't know. But I may be just getting ahead of myself with this one, because there's another one too that I found, and let's look at that one real quick. This one specifically states that you can, this is token tax, and I can put links to these in the, let's do that. Let's do that. Whoops. I'll put links to those in the down below in case you guys are interested in either one of these. I know they're fairly straightforward, but it's always nice to have a link, right? All right, so, but I believe the token tax said that you can actually use your wallets. Maybe not. So hopefully they would even be able to support your cryptocurrency wallet. So if you gave them your Bitcoin public address and your Ethereum public address, they could track where your coins are going, right? But at the very least, it can track your exchange transactions, right? So I can interface. I can buy this software, and then I can give it access to my Coinbase, Bittrex, and Binance accounts, right? And these are usually done by allowing API. They can't control or move around any of the crypto on any of your exchange accounts, but they can download a list of transactions, and by doing that, they can prepare a I forget which form it is. Not sure. It's a tax form for declaring your earnings, your buying and selling, your trading, and all that. All right, and it doesn't support every cryptocurrency. It supports most of the major ones, but not all of them. So, but it would be a good idea. Oh, and then pricing here. They have price tiers. So let's take a look at this price tier. So if you've just been buying crypto occasionally and you've got less than 100 transactions, then for $49, you can allow this software to interface with your cryptocurrency exchanges in order to prepare your tax form. Right? Now, I don't believe this does your taxes for you completely, but it does generate that form, which you can then take to your accountant. And as you can see here, I can choose different years too. I can choose 2017. Now, I think I probably fall into this one because I buy crypto once or twice a week, I think, and there's 52 weeks in a year. So I would say I have at least 52 transactions. But then a lot of times if I'm buying Cardano, I've got the purchase, I've got the transfer, I've got the Litecoin to Bitcoin transaction, I've got the Bitcoin to Cardano transaction, and then I have the transfer to the wallet. So I'm looking at maybe every week 4 or 5 or 6 transactions. So I'm probably going to fall into this one, right? The trader. Now, and then they have other tiers for people that are trading constantly. But it's a good idea if you've got cryptocurrency and you're an honest person and you don't want to get into any complications down the road, you're probably better off just declaring, your cryptocurrency holdings and doing your best to get the taxes filed. $100, or let's say $49 or $200 is a small price to pay to make sure that you've done everything right and you're looking good in the eyes of the government, right? Because you don't want, what you really don't want is for Bitcoin or Litecoin or Cardano to go to the moon, right? And all of a sudden you've got $100,000 and you're trying to cash out. Hang on just a second. Sorry, gang. One of my, I'm the manager of my building, and somebody was paying their rent. So there you go. We got 2 different websites that you can feed your cryptocurrency transactions to. This one looks a little more professional. And then also, I mean, if you want to go to your own tax accountant and ask him what you should do, that might be a good one, a good place to start too. He might recommend one of these 2. He may have a better solution for you. But like I said, you don't want to, all of a sudden your cryptocurrency investment has brought forth, let's say you've got $100,000, right? And then you transfer it into, you sell it, you put it in your Coinbase account, and then you sell it for cash, and then you go to cash out, and you cash out $30,000, right? All of a sudden, a red flag goes up, and the IRS comes to you and says, "Hey, where'd you get that money?" And you'd say, "Oh, well, my Bitcoin earnings were up, and so I cashed out some of my cryptocurrency holdings. It was Bitcoin. I sold my Bitcoin." And then the IRS is going to go, "Where'd you get the Bitcoin?" Right? It's going to look bad for you. If you just suddenly appear with a bunch of money that you're trying to cash out of your bank. Even if you say, "Okay, look, I got $50,000 in winnings or investment fruition," or whatever you want to call it, and so I don't want to alert the IRS, so I'll start cashing out $5,000 at a time, right? Saying, well, that looks suspicious too, right? Anybody that has been earning a steady paycheck, once every 2 weeks, all of a sudden is like cashing out $5,000 from their Coinbase account, it's going to look suspicious. So you're better off getting all of it documented ahead of time, right? You may have lost money in cryptocurrency, and that might even be to your benefit when you do your taxes. So better to just keep everything above board, so that if you do, Granny and Jed have to move to Beverly Hills because they just, struck it rich in the crypto market, at least you'll have some documentation of where you bought all that cryptocurrency. Oh, I'm sorry, I got to take this too. Here we go. Hey, how's it going?
Oh my god, candy?
Yeah, I asked Jacqueline and she said there would be a box tonight. Lisa will be back in town on Sunday, so they do want the box to go tonight. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, it is. She's gone, but they do want the box tonight, so you're okay. All right, thanks. All right, bye-bye. Get that last driver on Friday night taking the box, picking up the box to take to the... Can you view your ADA on your Ledger? Okay, so I'm just looking at I have comments enabled on my phone, and I'm looking at someone that just asked me if they can view the ADA on the Ledger. All right, so, and if you've been watching the live stream and watching my videos, you'll know that ADA is not supported in the account manager, right? So I cannot add ADA or Cardano in the account manager. So I cannot view my ADA balance using Ledger Live. But you can view your ADA balance using your ADA Lite interface or your Yoroi interface, right? So, but I get that question a lot, and it just came up on my phone. Can you view your ADA on your Ledger? And the answer is you can't really look at the ledger, so to speak. Let's see where that guy is. So that was the latest comment. There it is. Can you view your ADA on your ledger? I use Yoroi, but I can't see my fund balance on the ledger. Okay. He may, I think part of what he might not be doing is check your, ledger, make sure the ADA app is installed and active. You also may need to press both buttons to export the public key. But there's also a problem with Yoroi. I'm just going to call it Yoroi. Is that if you already had a Yoroi wallet installed, it won't go away, right? So if you used Yoroi to create a standalone ADA wallet, then you're not going to get this, right? Because this is Chrome. I haven't used Chrome to create a wallet in Yoroi yet, but in Brave I have, and this wallet is, you cannot add more than one wallet into the same extension on the same browser. So if you had a standalone wallet where you just let's go back here. See, here is create a new wallet. So if you did a create wallet in Yoroi and you had some crypto in there already, some ADA, then you don't get the option to connect with Ledger, right? The only way to get that option is to delete the old wallet and make it empty like it is here. I think you have to delete the extension completely. But that's a problem if people already have ADA in there, right? They're going to have to back up that wallet somehow, transfer it somewhere. So Yoroi is not that versatile, right? Now, supposedly, it will be. They'll add support for more than one wallet. So my preference now is the ADA Lite wallet because it can support more than one wallet, right? I can create a wallet. I can restore a wallet with a key file, a mnemonic, or I can use a hardware wallet to access. And I can use it all with the same interface, right? So I could have several wallets going on. Now, I don't know about multiple ADA wallets on ADA Lite. There may not be a way to do that. So anyway, a lot of questions. Ah, yes. You can watch my video. Well, I talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and also I wanted to talk a little bit about two-factor authentication tonight. Hopefully, that's a very dry topic, but one of hopefully interest to all of you guys. And I'd like to show you something that I found interesting. If you look at my videos and you go to most viewed, you'll get a surprise. It's a little bit of it surprised me last year. My most viewed video is how to move Google Authenticator to a new phone. So my most viewed video is about two-factor authentication using Google Authenticator. And my second most viewed video is how to use the Tor browser. So I talk about more than just cryptocurrency, but that's my main interest. And also, of my 250 videos, 230 of them are about cryptocurrency. You know, there's only, well, there may be more. Let's say around two, because I did quite a few videos on privacy and anonymity and installing Debian and that kind of thing early in my YouTube career. I've switched. I haven't been using Linux much. So anyway, I wanted to talk about two-factor authentication. And the reason that I did was that I got this brand new, really cool phone. And because I got this brand new phone, I needed to move my Google Authenticator codes to this phone. Now, if you're using Google Authenticator, you have to add the codes one by one. So I backed up my old phone, and I did a restore to the new phone, and I got all my apps, but the Google Authenticator app was empty. So basically what I had to do, and I documented the whole thing. I had a video. I created, it took me a day and a half, 2 days to create this video where I went through every single account that I had two-factor authentication enabled on. And it was like 20 or 30 different accounts. And I meticulously documented on my video how I had to access the old account using the old phone and then disable two-factor authentication. Then, when that was done, I had to re-enable it using the new phone. And that basically... Oh, Jesus Christ. Hey, Demetria. Actually, no, I didn't. I just kind of let it go. Did you have a problem with her again? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, Lord God. Okay, I'm going to have to talk to her about it. I thought it was just like that she didn't realize who you were when she saw you that last time, and, you know, because she's not always there late. And, I mean, John is there every night, like he lives there, so, yeah, I'll have to talk to her about it. I'm really sorry. I thought it was just going to blow over. Yeah, I don't understand what her problem is. Yeah. But you got the box, right? Okay, I will definitely talk to her about this. I thought it was just a one-time thing and that it wasn't, you know, it was just going to blow over. I apologize. Should have said something to her. Right. That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, you're perfectly within your rights to be there. Definitely. And, you know, if I have to, I'm going to talk to Sally about it. And if I have to talk to Lisa about it, I will. But there have been some times where I got Lisa involved and Sally got all butthurt over it. So I try to deal directly with her. But if Lisa has to get involved, she will, you know, because Lisa owns the messenger company now. So, yeah. So, but she will definitely hear about it from me now. She's going to be like that with you. It's like now she knows who you are and why you're there. I don't understand why she's treating you like that. Anyway. Yeah, well, it's just you and John, yeah. 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 Yeah, I'm really sorry, Demetria. I'm sorry. I'll talk to her about it. I will talk to her. Yeah. I'll talk to her tonight. I got something doing right now, but I'll call her at like 7:30, and I'll talk to her because I have her cell. Okay. All right. Thanks. Oh. All right. You guys have probably gone home by now, right? Okay. Okay, VForge, it's great. I'm so sorry about that, guys. Really, it doesn't normally happen, but I do work. I have a job where I'm a dispatcher, and we usually are done at 5, but there's a box that needs to be picked up at the office at night, and sometimes there's problems with it. Office politics kind of stuff. So I got kind of dragged into that. So I apologize. Somebody put something. I would like to make a formal announcement about EOS while we're here. A lot of people are asking me to do an EOS video. All right. So I said I had trouble in the past with EOS. And then finally I said, okay, fine. I'll do an EOS video. All right. So here's the thing. I went through all the steps to do EOS on the Ledger Nano S. And I got to the point where it asked me to download this fairy wallet. Right? I could not get this stupid wallet to work. I don't know if it's a bug. I don't know if they're writing code for Windows 7 or what their problem is, but I tried many, many, many times to get it to do what it said it was supposed to do, which was connect to their mainnet so that I could create an account. And even then, I wasn't too happy about the fact that I was going to have to buy access to the EOS blockchain, which really kind of, I don't understand what that's all about. People are talking to me about how great EOS is and how it's going to take over the world, and you know it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but their interface sucks, right? They're a Chinese company. I'm not bashing Chinese. I'm just talking. There's like a language barrier or a code barrier or whatever it is. It's the interface sucks, right? I'm trying to get this wallet to work and it won't work. And I know I'm doing it the way I'm supposed to do it. And even if I had gotten past that point, to the point where I was in a position to actually pay whatever I needed to pay to get an account on the EOS blockchain so that I could transfer my measly 8 EOS off of Binance, I wasn't, willing. I would have done it just to do a video for you guys, right? And I was willing to try, and I tried my best, but I was continuously thwarted by the crappy interface on the EOS Fairy wallet. And apparently the Fairy wallet is the only way to interface with the Ledger Nano S. And that is the only way I'm going to do an EOS video, if I can store it on my Ledger Nano S. I've tried EOS many times, and it's kind of like, I don't know, let's just say I went out and I bought an Apple TV. And I tried to use it, and the interface sucked, and I didn't like it, and it didn't have Amazon Prime or whatever. And finally, I just said to myself, you know what? I don't like Apple TV. I'm never going to use it anymore. So don't talk to me about Apple TV anymore. I have a Roku. right? I'm kind of like that. When I get to a point where I've tried several times to do a video on EOS, and I even have some EOS that's been sitting in my Binance account for almost 2 years now, and I've never been able to put it in my own wallet because their interface sucks. That's all I can say. I may be an idiot, I don't know, but so I'm not going to be doing any EOS videos, and I'm not going to talk about EOS and analyze EOS or explain to you how to get your EOS from point A to point B, because I may just be a crusty old man, but that's how it goes, right? So I'm not gonna cover EOS. All right. So let's say, so if I transfer my two-factor authentication to a new phone by enabling it and disabling it, I need access to the old phone, right? I need the old phone in order to gain access to the account using my two-factor authentication code on the old phone. Then, once I've gotten access to the account, I can disable it. And then after I disable it, I can re-enable it using the new phone, right? Now, sometimes that's fairly straightforward. It's pretty easy with Google. If I've already got Google Gmail on my computer, I don't even need the old phone to access the account. I just go into my Gmail and tell it to change phones, and it works just fine. Microsoft, I have to go in there and tell them that I have to use the old phone to gain access in order to disable it and re-enable it. Now, here's the trick. I get a lot of people asking me, what if I lose my phone? What if I just straight up lose my phone and I have 5 or 6 different cryptocurrency accounts on there? What do I do then? Well, here's what you do. And the reason I know this is because I can't believe I'm going to tell you guys this. But what happened to me was I went through a day and a half of transferring from my old phone to my new phone. All right? Had everything straight. Coinbase, Bittrex, Google, Microsoft, all of my two-factor accounts for me and my kids and all that had all been safely transferred over to the new phone, right? 2 days and video. Then I got down to the very last step and I said, let me just double check to make sure that there's nothing I have on the old phone that I need on the new phone before I wipe it and send it back to Verizon, because it was an upgrade, right? I was trading in my current phone to get my new phone because I couldn't afford, I hadn't paid off the old phone, right? So I went through that final check and I said, I think it's safe. Let me wipe the old phone and put it in the box and send it back, and I'll be done with this whole thing, right? So I went to settings, I went to erase phone, and then I went to are you sure? And I said, yes, I'm sure, because I knew that I had transferred everything I needed over to the new phone, right? And then I said, you need to disable Find My Phone, so I entered my iTunes password, and then I set the phone down, and then I watched it start its process of erasing. And then, all of a sudden, in horror, I realized that I had erased the new phone instead of the old phone. The old phone was sitting on the table over to the side, and I watched helplessly as my new phone was being erased. And the problem with that was that all of the new Google Authenticator codes that I had meticulously transferred over to the new phone had just been wiped out of existence. And so here I was in the position of all of these two-factor authentication accounts. I had basically lost the phone, right? So then I had to do things the hard way. So I want to talk a little bit about the hard way, right? Well, first of all, the Google, like I said, the Google accounts weren't so bad, because all I had to do was go into my Gmail account and choose change phone, and it gave me the scan code, and I scanned it with the new phone and added the accounts. Right, so that wasn't a big deal. And then, as it turns out, there are some accounts, like Microsoft, for example, that if you don't have the two-factor authentication from your Google Authenticator, it will say, how about we send you the code in a text or an email? So it gave me an alternate way to recover access to the account, which in my mind is not as secure as it should be, right? But Microsoft is a big company, and there's a lot of neophytes out there. And if you enable two-factor authentication and it was like you were like locked out forever, they would have a lot of problems, right? So they give you an alternate method of getting into the account. Uphold has a backup key that you are forced to create when you establish the Uphold wallet. So I was reminded about it from Uphold support, and they explained to me that, oh, you have a backup key. And they were going to offer to reset it if I had lost it, but I had it. Now here comes the hard ones. All right. So let's say I wanted to log into my Coinbase account, and I did not have my two-factor authentication. So I go to sign in, right? And I hit Coinbase, right? Now I'm here, and I don't have my Google Authenticator code. Now what do I do, right? So you got this little thing down here, unable to submit one-time code. All right, I have lost my Authenticator app, right? All right, so what happens here is you have to provide your ID and information, right? You're going to get a text on your phone, right? So a Coinbase account requires you to, when you set up the account, you're required to give them your phone number. And then they will use that phone number to send you a code to verify that you are who you say you are and that is your phone number. So that's just a default. Now, when you enable two-factor authentication, that is the that is the go-to method of two-factor auth. But once you've lost that, they fall back on that phone. So the first thing they'll do is tell you they'll send you a code on your phone, and then the next step is you have to give them your ID front and back. And I kind of wanted to show you this picture. I don't know if I should blur it out or not. Let me just do this real quick. I think I can do this. Basically, you need to send them a picture of you, yourself, holding your ID and a little note. All right, I'm going to put Photoshop over here. Do that. All right. So I'm going to put Photoshop over here. I'm going to open one of these pictures real quick. Shouldn't take me too long. Done this stuff before, right? There it goes. Okay. All right. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna blur that if I can. Filter. Blur. Okay, here we go. Gaussian blur. Right? Hey, I can do it. Hey, I did it. All right. All right. So here we go. This is what we need to do. Is this showing up? Okay, yeah. So and it's not the greatest picture of me, but you have to tell them, and this is Robinhood. This is different. Coinbase is pretty much the same. Now they're probably going to ask you to upload the front of your driver's license and the back of your driver's license, and then they're going to ask you to give them a picture of you holding your ID with a little note that says the name of the exchange, and then the words disable two-factor authentication only, and then the date, right? And then you upload that to their interface, and then after a few days, they will contact you and they'll say, or within 24 hours usually, they'll contact you. When I did Robinhood, the first time I forgot to put the date on there. Right? I thought that I had it, but anyway, they contacted me and they said, didn't do it right. Yeah, they didn't even tell me what I forgot. They just said, here's what you got to do, and they gave it to me again. The name of the exchange, disable two-factor, and the date. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I forgot the date, right? So I had to resubmit with the date on there. And then they contacted me within 24 hours and they said, in about 3 days, we're going to send you an email telling you that your account is now accessible, right? Which means that in a couple of days, they would disable two-factor authentication.
My phone doesn't seem to be charging.
Okay, I don't have the charging cable over here anymore, sweetheart. So we'll have to deal with it later, okay? Always charging trouble. Are you sure, sweetheart? Why don't you look to see if it's plugged in down there? Make sure it's plugged in on the floor. You probably kicked the cord, unplugged it. I'll help you in after the live stream. And then after a few days, then they'll say, you are now, your two-factor authentication has now been disabled. Now you can get back into your account. All right. So, but that's what I haven't heard back from Robinhood, but that's not a big deal. But Coinbase was a big deal because I use Coinbase a lot, and it's the only way I can cash out of my crypto currently, right? My other exchange accounts aren't connected to my bank account. Now I could have done it with the Square app, right? But Coinbase is my go-to method of cashing out if I decide I need to sell some crypto for cash, right? So what happened with Coinbase is I went through this process, and then within 24 hours, well, first of all, this was broken. The first couple of times I tried it, it was giving me this weird error message. And I called Coinbase and they told me, yeah, our site is glitched. You have to wait a few days, blah, blah, blah. So I kept trying until it finally worked right. They sent me the text code. I uploaded my ID front and back. And then I gave them that picture of myself holding up, please disable two-factor on Coinbase. They contacted me. They said that they had received it and that it was valid, and that after a few more days, I would be able to access the account. And then a couple days ago, I got a text from them and an email that said that I was now able to access the account. And so when I signed in, they asked me to verify with text. Right? So as soon as I signed in here, right, as soon as I did that, I got a text. And then I used the text code to access the account, and I was back, right? And I won't go into it right now. We're not going to buy anything tonight anyway. But that's how you fix it, right? Now, there were a lot of other accounts, like CoinX. Let's look at CoinX. I tried to sign into my CoinX account, right? And when I hit sign in, this is what I got. All right, boom. There's no link that says, hey, I lost my two-factor authentication. You got nothing, right? All you got is this verify, right? Nothing, right? So what do? Right? So I just Googled it. Actually, I think I went to CoinX. Oops. Support, right? So I go to CoinX support, FAQ, and then I went to security, right? Security, how do I change or reset Google Authenticator? And there it is, It's the same spiel. You gotta submit a ticket, and then you've got to title it, cannot sign in, apply to reset Google Authenticator. I've got to give them the front and back of my ID, passport, or driver's license. I have to provide a photo of me holding my valid documentation. And I also have to have the date of the application, my CoinEx account information, nickname, phone number, email address, and your request bind Google Authenticator of CoinEx. So it is not an easy thing to do to reset two-factor authentication. So my advice is, of course you should use two-factor authentication. But anytime you sign into an account, if they have a backup code that you can store somewhere that will allow you to restore your Google Authenticator code on a new phone, highly recommended. Now, Coinbase doesn't really give you that. You really, if you lose your, and I guess the other piece of advice is don't lose your phone, and or don't accidentally wipe your phone after you've spent 3 days transferring everything over. But we're all human. We all make mistakes. But resetting two-factor authentication is a bit of a pain. Now, there's another one that backs things up on the cloud. Now, I've heard that it's not as secure as Google Authenticator, but maybe it is, right? And the thing about Authy is that it has a cloud-based backup, so that if you lose your phone, then you have a means of, through their interface, of restoring your codes, so you don't have to go to each site individually to get your codes restored. Right? Now, you can enable two-factor authentication on Facebook, Yahoo, Google, Amazon, Instagram. You can do that with your phone. You can your text two-factor, which is not very secure, or you can use Google Authenticator, which I use. Authenticator. That's me. Or you can use Authy. But use one of them, and be very careful. Back everything up, and hang on to your phone for dear life. Can or should you send? I gotta keep up with the family. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. I'd like to hang out with Scott in Hawaii, island hopping over there. Can or should you send your private public keys from MetaMask to Ledger Nano S? Can you? I'm not too sure. You can't really restore a private key on a standalone private key onto a ledger. I don't think there's really any way to do that. Your ledger has its own 24-word recovery phrase, and it can generate wallets, and you can restore the ledger and all of its wallets, but you can't take a standalone private key that you've exported from, say, in this case, MetaMask, and import that into Ledger. The best thing to do in that, if you would rather, if you've got some cryptocurrency in MetaMask and you want to get it onto a ledger, then your best bet is to just transfer the balance to a ledger-based wallet. And that's not that difficult. Now, you may have a lot of ERC20 tokens in MetaMask, and it's going to cost you some gas to move all of it out. So, but it's really, there's really no way of importing a private key from a standalone Ethereum-based wallet into the Ledger Nano S. It would be nice if there was, but there's not really. So the best bet in that situation is to transfer the balance. So if all there is ETH in there, that's no big deal at all. MetaMask will actually help you transfer all of it and figure in the gas in the. So you can empty out a let me see if I have it. I guess I don't. I don't have a MetaMask wallet. Oh, here's MetaMask. I don't think I have one. Let's see if I have it here. Okay, yeah, I believe this wallet is empty. All right. So, but if you had some ETH in here and you wanted to send it to your Ledger-based wallet, then you basically would just put in the recipient address. You can see that I sent some out before. But, you know, you would just go over to your Ledger Nano S, you would go to one of your Ethereum accounts, and you click receive, and as you can see here, I received some here. So this is the address, right? So I would just go to my MetaMask wallet. Where'd it go? Yeah. And I would click send, and then I would put in that address of that of my Ledger wallet, and then I would just send it all, right? Usually there's like a max button there, right? You can just send it all, and then you can choose your gas here, all right, and just empty out the wallet. Now, a word of caution: if you had ERC20 tokens in your wallet in that Ethereum address, then you would definitely need to make sure that all of the ERC20 tokens were transferred out before you empty the ETH out, because you need to have a little bit of ETH in the wallet for your gas to get your ERC20 tokens out. So let's say I had a bunch of polymath in this MetaMask wallet. Now, if all I had was polymath and I wanted to get it out, I would need to put a little bit of ETH in there first for the gas, then I could get the polymath out. But that may be more complicated than what you're dealing with. But the answer to the question is there's no way to just export that private key out and then import it into the Ledger. Ledger's not set up to do that. Ledger to MetaMask might be possible, because if we do an import account, we could paste that. It says private key. Yeah, it would have to be a private key. So the Ledger doesn't give you access to the private key. You can't see it. So there's really no way of exporting the private key into one of these either. Now there may be using the BIP36. There might be a way of getting your Ledger wallets out of so. Now this is getting pretty technical, but there are ways of exporting the accounts out. Oh, so you can generate private keys. You can manually generate all private keys using the BIP39 tool. This tool is best used for offline use. So there is a way to do that. Now that's exporting the private keys out of the Ledger that you've created, right? And then you can import them in to the MetaMask, right? If that's what you wanted to do. But in my case, I would much more prefer to put the Ethereum or whatever in my Ledger-based wallet. That's more secure than the hardware. The hardware-based wallet is more secure than the MetaMask. MetaMask is pretty good, right? But it's vulnerable to phishing attacks, hacking attacks. You could accidentally delete it if you reinstall your computer, your browser, that kind of stuff. So it's a little more fragile than the Ledger. But it's a little bit more convenient than the Ledger. So for maybe small amounts, might be a good intermediary type wallet to use. All right. So you can export your private keys, or you can export using a recovery phrase. So there's ways to do that too. Oh, this is just, see, these are some of the third-party wallets that you can use to import that 24-word recovery phrase. So basically here they're saying, oh, if you've got a 24-word recovery phrase, I'll show you how to import it into a Ledger X, Ledger S, or a Ledger Blue, right? Or you could use the Electrum desktop wallet to import that 24-word recovery phrase. But unfortunately, the Electrum desktop wallet would only see your Bitcoin. It wouldn't see your other cryptocurrency wallet. And the MyEther wallet would only see your Ethereum and your ERC20 tokens. So it's not straightforward, right? I'm going to use a word that the programmers like to use. It's not trivial, right? When they would say, you would go to somebody that's a programmer and you would say, hey, I want to do XYZ, they might look it over and see what you want to do and go, oh yeah, that's trivial, right? That I can program that easy. But then other times they might look at what your requirements are and they might go, that's non-trivial, or that's not trivial, which means it's complicated, it's hard, right? So this kind of stuff is not for the faint of heart, but it is possible. But it all boils down to what we talked about in the beginning of the stream, which is your private keys control the Bitcoin, right? As long as you have the private keys, and you control the private keys, you still own the cryptocurrency. You still have the cryptocurrency. So wallets be damned, ledgers be damned. As long as you have that 24-word recovery phrase, you can recover your cryptocurrency by hook or by crook. So, if the website goes down or whatever, then you can always there's always another way to access your crypto. Now, if the Bitcoin blockchain goes down, then all is lost, right? But the Bitcoin blockchain, in order to destroy the Bitcoin blockchain, you would have to destroy the Bitcoin blockchain, the copy of every Bitcoin blockchain on every computer and device in the world. And that is a non-trivial task, right? You could turn off the internet, I guess, if you wanted to. If you were powerful enough to do that, that might thwart people from using Bitcoin and the blockchain, but that's not practical either. But as long as a copy of the blockchain exists on more than one device, then Bitcoin is still alive, right? It's an immutable ledger. It never goes away. It's protected by cryptocurrency. So you can go around destroying Bitcoin nodes day after day after day, but if there's two or more or even one left, it can replicate itself and repopulate itself, right? It's like a virus that won't die. So don't worry about the blockchain disappearing anytime soon. Where to send altcoins on Binance to that they can be sent to Ledger device? I've got several videos that explain how to deposit your cryptocurrency holdings into your Ledger Nano S, depending on the type of cryptocurrency. We don't really have time to talk too much about it, but let's see if I can find. It's my most watched videos. Interesting. Let's look at my most recent videos, and I'll just show you a few examples. Basically, the idea is that if you've got cryptocurrency on your Binance, you basically have a wallet on Binance, right? It's an electronic wallet that is part of your Binance account. You can do a withdrawal from Binance, right? You just need, here it is, how to store ontology, right? So in this video, I talked to you about how to buy ontology on a cryptocurrency exchange and then store it on a ledger. Here's one, how to buy Cardano on an exchange like Binance and store it on a ledger, right? Here's how to buy VE Chain and store it on a ledger. So I have a lot of videos on how to store cryptocurrencies that you have on an exchange that you want to put in your own wallet. You don't have to use the Ledger Nano S, but for me, that's the best solution right now. It doesn't support every single cryptocurrency. There are some standalone wallets, like ADA took a long time to get Nano support. So the go-to solution for ADA was a standalone desktop Dedalus wallet. So I have videos on how to do that too. But there's probably a wallet somewhere that you can use to store your cryptocurrency from your Binance account. The trick is you just need a receiving address, right? You need to generate a wallet, set up the wallet, get the receiving address, and use it when you make your withdrawal from your cryptocurrency account. It's done over the internet. That's the way cryptocurrencies work. Oh, good. Thanks, Mr. David. Altcoins on Binance. So those are a couple altcoins you got there. So let's see, we've done VE Chain, BAT, Basic Attention Token, Tron. You did that with Tron. So look and see if I've got a video on it. It might help you. If not, maybe next week throw up a specific cryptocurrency and we'll see. I'll try to help you with it. As long as it's not EOS. Right? All right, guys. It's time to head on out. I got to help my daughter get her phone charged. It's a crisis. Let's do this. Don't forget, join me every Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Live Q&A in LA. Throw out your questions. We'll talk about cryptocurrency news. We'll talk about how to move crypto-related topics, or any questions that you may have. So I hope to look forward to seeing you guys again. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I would appreciate it. When you subscribe, there's a little bell you can click that will allow you to be alerted whenever I post new content. Once again, thanks for joining me, and hope to see you guys again soon. No, that's a lot of altcoins. Yeah, it looks like you got a lot of work on your hands.